However, the healing that they are doing does not necessarily have to be in regards to this separation. However, it's showing up very prominently here. And then, in terms of how they are feeling about this separation, we have the maze, under a spell, and healing through rest. So I would say that your person, in terms of how they are feeling about this separation, feels insanely confused right now. Um, unlike labyrinths, labyrinths, you're just kind of stuck there. With mazes, there are entrances and exits and dead ends. There's lots of different options to take, and it can get very confusing. And with Under a Spell being here as well, I get the feeling that they they are confused currently about whether or not this connection was ever as it seemed. There's an element of depth here, in terms of confusion or not being able to see what the reality of this situation is. It could be that there's a lot of hopeful thinking on their end, um, or it could be that there is a lot of mistrust on their end. Either way, they feel as though they're in this maze and they don't know how to get out. And I don't even know if they know how they got in this in the first place. And so because of this, we have healing through rest. So I'm sensing that right now they feel so overwhelmed by this, they feel so confused by this that the only option there is at the moment is to just take a step back, take some deep breaths, and try to realign themselves. And this, again, is mentioning healing. Um, so if you're wondering whether or not this person currently is seeing other people, I would say pretty strongly here that they are very much so in a path of um, being alone right now. I don't see them seeing other people. They're very much focused on their healing. But let's go ahead and see how they are feeling about you. Okay. How are they feeling about you? I would say that there is still a huge amount of care here. With the Five of Swords coming out, this is a card of winning at all costs, and in doing such, actually losing. And, it gives me very selfish energy. And I think that what this is indicating is that if this person has, I feel like this person is acknowledging that they were selfish, perhaps even in the name of healing. And I think that it's really important to um, in life in general to just take on the perspective of everything in moderation. Of course, it's important to put yourself first, and you should always be looking out for yourself in the name of self-love. However, that does not negate the fact that we owe it to ourselves as human beings to be um, compassionate toward one another. And I'm sensing that perhaps in them having wanted this space for themselves or having wanted to take this time to heal, they went about it in a way that may not have been the most compassionate or tactful, and they're sorry for this. With this Six of Cups here, there's still a lot of love. This is one of my favorite cards in tarot. I love it when it comes out. It's so warm and innocent and genuine, and it represents apologies and coming together and reunions. And I'm sensing that there is an acknowledgement of a pretty big mistake that was made, um, that I don't think was really intended in harming them as well, but ended up harming them because it harmed you. Um, Another thing that I'm seeing is that we have the Six of Pentacles here, and we also have Justice, and both of these images have scales, which signifies to me that um, again they have a desire to make this right. I would say that the biggest feeling that they are feeling right now is sorry. They feel sorry. Um, but what I think is interesting is the location of these two cards. So we have a skill right here on the bottom left, and then a skill right here on the top right, which is indicating that things are still out of balance. And what I'm feeling is that with the Wheel of Fortune, clarifying this Justice card, on one end of this spectrum that this person is in emotionally, they want to say sorry, they want to make things right, they want to bring things back into balance. However, they're in this they're also in a state of like flow, or it might not be flow because we also have Eight of Swords here, which is the mentality of somebody who does not want to make a choice or a move and is ready to just kind of give up, and stay wounded or stay trapped. And so I think that with this card being the bottom of the deck energy, and with, I mean, we have two cards here that are indicative of someone having their eyes covered. And then here, even too, with this Justice, this person's eyes are closed. But what I'm trying to get at is that even though they recognize that they are at fault for something here, part of them is they're, how do I want to say it? Maybe I should start with this Eight of Pentacles. Maybe this will help. So on one end of this spectrum of wanting to make things right, they're realizing that they would have to put in effort, genuine effort. They would have to put in work. They would have to prove to you time and time again, for some of you, um, that how they've shown up in the past is not who they are, or at least it's not who they are anymore, and they are genuinely sorry. So there's this element of understanding that if they were to try to bring this back into balance, they would have to put in a lot of effort. But then there's this other element that they are trying to put into balance of just kind of trusting in the universe and going with the flow. Um, and because of this desire to bring things into balance is still out of balance. One of the skills is up here, and one of the skills is down here. And then we also have the Two of Swords and Strength. It's like they can feel your warmth or your comfort, um, even through all of this, um, even through the blindfolds and the ties around the body. They still feel um, your warmth. They still feel drawn to you. Um, but I mean, like, it's just everything here is indicating that they have not come into alignment with what it is that perhaps their higher selves want. There's just a misalignment here still. But I would say that the biggest thing that I'm seeing has to do with them acknowledging um, their own downfall. But you know, with the Two of Swords here, the Five of Swords, and the Eight of Swords, that's a lot of swords, first of all, but that's mental energy, and it's the same energy as this Maze card. They're just so in their head right now. I think they're thinking too much on this. They're intellectualizing this way more than it needs to be, and until they can kind of step out of that mental headspace, they aren't going to be able to make a decision. But let's go ahead and see what it is that they are hoping will happen. So in terms of what they are hoping is going to happen in this connection, we have the Mountain and we have creativity. So, I mean, the Mountain and creativity are both very action oriented cards. They're not stagnant by any means. And so what I'm sensing is that this person is truly hoping that they can overcome the obstacles that they have put into place themselves. Um, and they're hoping that this creativity card is giving me the energy of problem solving. They're hoping that they can come up with a solution, find resolution in this, in a way that works for the both of you. So, in terms of what it is that they're hoping for, I would say that they're hoping that this energy can turn around into something that can benefit both of you. But currently, what I'm seeing energetically is somebody who is still working through that. Let's see if they have any messages for you. What does pile one's person want to say to them? It's time for me to heal now. Yeah, I mean, it's all over the place. We hear ya. Okay, we also have my life is not as together as it seems. You don't know how hard it was to let you go. I do feel like for a lot of you, this person was the one who walked away from this in the name of like healing or in the name of self-love. And I think that now they really are questioning whether or not that was genuinely necessary, or if perhaps they um, took things to an extreme, or I don't know. There's an element of not being able to trust themselves, or their maybe not themselves, but their perception of things currently. And then we have I lost myself for a little while. Yeah. Okay. And then finally, pile one. Let's go ahead. Which I knew where it was. Really likes to cuddle with me while we're doing the readings. Okay. So this is your advice. Independence. I embrace total independence and I see how empowering that is. Even when I'm in a relationship, I can still be independent by meeting my own needs and creating my own happiness. When I do that, I'm the fullest version of myself and I have much more me to give without needing pieces of me in return. A scientifically impossible expectation. Okay. So as always, pile one, only allow this reading to give you insight if it sits right with you. This is obviously a general reading for one, and for two, I'm a stranger, and for three, there are a million gazillion ways to interpret um, the cards, and it's never meant to be viewed as truth or the end all be all. And I just really want to remind everybody of your own power and of your own ability to make judgments on your life. You're so worthy of all the love that you want, and then 1,000 gazillion times more. But that's where I'm going to leave this for today, pile one. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope that I will have the chance to read for you in another video soon. Bye. Hello, pile two. So today we are doing a reading on no contact or separation. And the oracle cards that you picked are going to be representative of how your person sees themselves currently, energetically in this connection, or perhaps how they saw themselves in the connection in the past. It's essentially just how they are seeing themselves. And then these oracle cards right here are going to be representative of how they are currently feeling about this no contact or this separation. And then these cards here are going to represent what it is that they hope is going to come of this situation. So I'm going to go ahead and put these over here because we're going to save those until the end. And let's get into this. So in terms of how they are seeing themselves, we have the hedonist and the golden egg. And in terms of how they are feeling about this separation, we have the one who hides the sun and work. Okay. So the first thing that I'm feeling is that this person feels as though they kind of were all in on this connection. They loved you deeply, they loved you fiercely, and they were immensely vulnerable, profoundly vulnerable, and very grateful for this connection. Um, if that's not resonating with you, there's probably not a message for you in this particular pile, and you might want to pick a different one because with the golden egg, um, it's all about diving deep into your heart space and really being tender, and sharing that tenderness with others. And the hedonist's light attributes are inspires creative energy to embrace the good things in life and celebrates the beauty in yourself. And I think that this person really feels as though they were showing up in these light attributes of that, of um, wanting to participate in joyful experiences with you and in celebrating life's beauty. Um, and if perhaps they weren't in the past, I would say that this is how they wished that they would have shown up. Um, but really, for the majority of you, I would say that this person cared for you deeply, and that's what they remember, is really diving deep and going all in on this one. And then in terms of how they are currently feeling about this separation, I would say that they're not doing very well. I think there could potentially be a little bit of resentment here for this separation. But I think the biggest thing that I can say, or the most prominent message that I'm getting from this, is that they're viewing this separation as something which brings about sadness, and takes away the warmth. And because of, I think for a lot of them, they really are throwing themselves into other things right now to try to keep their mind off of the sadness or off of the hurt or off the thing that is missing in their life currently. There feels like there's a hole. It feels like there's a hole, right? And if they're not throwing themselves into their work, I would say that they're viewing this separation as if it were to try to come back into union, they would take a lot. It's very overwhelming. I would also say that they feel overwhelmed by this separation. Let's go ahead and pull some tarot and ask how they are feeling about you. How is Title Two's person feeling about Pilot still? Pentacles, So the first thing that I'm picking up on is that we have the Empress. Think that they feel the loss of this connection. What's interesting though is that we have the King of Pentacles and the Queen of Cups, and then underneath the King of Pentacles. So this would indicate to me, um, well, there's two things that it's indicating. One, it could be indicating that there was like some sort of third party situation, and I feel as though this has to do with them feeling betrayed. I feel like they're viewing you as, and with it being clarified by temperance, I'm sensing a need to, they feel as though you may need to try instigate some healing, or work on, try to bring some healing to this connection on your own. But then at the same time here with the Emperor and then Judgment, it's like it feels like this person was kind of shocked. Now this isn't the only scenario that I'm seeing, so don't click off just yet. Um, because I'm also seeing this King of Pentacles and the Devil as further confirmation that this person is throwing themselves in when it comes to how they feel, regardless of whether you betrayed them. It could even have been they betrayed you. Regardless of what that is, there's this low vibrational energy that with the one who hides the sun, and then this devil here. I feel resent. I feel like the biggest thing that I am picking up on in terms of how they currently feel about you, the biggest thing that I feel is, or maybe even bitterness. But resentment is what I feel most. And that's not to say that there isn't or wasn't love here. Obviously, this person, for the golden age to come out, it's showing us there was a lot. But for the moon to come out right over this white, right underneath this Queen of Cups, this is indicating that they don't know what to think anymore. They feel really confused, um, about what the truth is, about how they're feeling. What used to feel so easy, or what used to come emotionally, just in a simple way in which they felt safe, is no longer. Um, I'm getting the sense that they feel a little bit powerless, with this Wheel of Fortune. It feels like they're in a very fearful energy currently of like being wounded further, or of like being able to trust their own judgment at this time. And because of this, with this Six of Wands here, I feel like they've kind of retreated into an ego space, or maybe not even an ego space, but into a space in which they want to put themselves. And that does not mean they're, focusing solely on what their ego is saying. Everything in moderation. But yeah, I would say I would say that this person feels a profound loss for what they thought this connection was with the Emperor. They still feel deeply and emotionally attached to you with this devil in the at this moment in time. They no longer trust their heart space. They no longer trust the steps that they are taking or trust the ground been. And with the devil here, bitterness, and I sense a desire to. I feel like this person feels like you owe them an apology, or if it's flipped, that they owe you an apology. Sad. It just feels like a loss, and it feels kind of unnecessary. And that's I'm speaking from what I'm feeling from them. But let's go ahead and look at it. What is it that they are hoping will happen? So the threshold is a card of initiation. It's a card of transitions, and a lot of the time these transitions are something really scary or involuntary. The threshold signifies changes coming to you may not have. However, once it happens, it's kind of inevitable. And so what I feel like is that this no contact or separation is they're viewing this currently as the threshold, as something that probably is necessary. However, they're kind of being willful right now. They don't want to accept what has happened. They're trying to pull like a curtain back over their eyes. And yeah, so I would say based on these two cards alone, they don't want to accept that this could potentially be over, but at the same time, they don't want to accept damage has been done. If let's go ahead and get some messages. What do you want to say to pile two? The line with you? Okay, and finally, pile two, I would let them the relationship. We have vulnerability. I allow myself to talk about my feelings without fear of external judgment or internal drama. When I express my feelings, a couple of funny things happen. One, I feel like a kindergartner. Two, everything gets lighter, easier, and filled with the comforting glow of hey, no wonder kindergartners seem so. All right, pile two. Well, this is what I'm seeing. If this resonated with you, I would love to know about how it did in the comment section down below. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much for watching Pile 2, and I hope that I will have the chance to read for you again in another. Hello, Pile 3. So today we are doing a reading on, and the cards that you chose are going to represent how your person. These cards right here are going to and these cards right here are how and hopes things you get what yourself. Let's go ahead and look at these first. In terms of how your person is seeing themselves in this situation, the unicorn, um, and then in terms of how they are separation, your goodness. So in terms of how they are seeing themselves, however they would be someone who is intuitive, very gentle, perhaps maternal in a way, or if not maternal. However, with the unicorn here, so that's what I'm picking up on. But with the unicorn here, there's this element that I'm in terms of like searching. I feel like this person is remembering themselves as somebody who wanted to go, couldn't necessarily show up in that deepness themselves. In that, the light attributes of the dilettante are delights in the arts without having to be alert you to the danger of becoming superficial. I'm sensing that like I almost feel like they couldn't really they were like they couldn't walk the walk. Like it feels like with this unicorn, there's an element of like healing here, of wanting to evolve, to grow on a soul. However, it feels like it was more of a facade. I would say take that how there's just that there's an inauthenticity in terms of this or how they want in terms of how they are feeling about um this separation with you can't find goodness because you lost your heart. I would say that this person is pretty devastated. And with dwellings here, this could be indicative of them feeling like they have not only lost their heart, not only have they been wounded in their heart space, but if you two were living together and they had to move out or you moved out, this is indicative of this really throwing, kind of flipping the world. And if you weren't living together, I would say either way, you have felt like, and they've lost not only and what I mean by like losing their heart, this is something that is so painful for them currently. They're having to set aside their heart's need in order to get through day to day. This person is feeling pretty sad in terms of this step. Go ahead, ask how the having a How is pile three's person currently feeling about pile three? Okay, we have the Nine of Swords. For every pile so far, they feel very worried, that they feel as though they have messed something, they have messed this up profoundly, and there's no going back. Queen of Cups, the Eight of Pentacles. On the bottom of the deck, we have how are they currently feeling about you? They are under the impression that this connection is over and it's keeping them up at night. I would say that they're ruminating right now, over what went wrong, over what they could have done differently. I would say that there is a strong desire here to come forward with an apology of some kind, or if not an apology, at least with the Eight of Pentacles here and the Five of Swords. I'm sensing really being willing to, for one, work on this if they were given the, but also with this Five of Swords here, I think that this is genuinely them acknowledging that they messed up big, and now nobody. With the Six of Pentacles and the Queen of Cups, what I'm getting from this is that they feel like, I kind of am getting the feeling as though with this like inauthenticity that I was talking about, or this inability to kind of like go deep within themselves, really had to do with an emotional heart space for a lot of you. And this is recognition with the Six of Pentacles and the Queen of Cups that they were not meeting you on the same emotional level or playing field as you were showing up. It's like it's an acknowledgement of it, and I think it's a really big. I think with this Wheel of Fortune and the Knight of Pentacles, there's a lot hoping, a lot of putting trust in divine timing and divine guidance. And they want to come forward, I would say, absolutely, but they also don't want to do it in a rushed state that's not thought through. I think that there's still learning to be done here before they can start showing up in an authentic way. But I think that regardless of what happens here, they view this connection as something that has profoundly transformed them, has profoundly. And then these cards right here are going to represent what it is that they wish would happen. So I would say that how I was picking up on the superficiality here, with these two cards here, it comes from a place, I think, And for fear to show up here with, I would say that what they're genuinely hoping is that they can kill their ego. They're hoping that they can kill their ego, or they can silence their fears. I just heard silencio brun. I just watched. But yeah, like I feel like they're what they want is to be able to silence their fears. Like, honestly, like with this unicorn here and this deer, it's like they're what right now what they're seeing, they're viewing themselves now as this like authentic deer, as this person who is special in their own way, but for some reason they didn't feel as though it was. To get you guys, what would you like to say to Pile starting to understand not available? Yeah, they have some fears to work. Okay, and then we have I look for you everywhere. And then finally, pile 3, I would like an advice card from the relationship. Advice is there for pile and C. Thoughts love to wander into assumptions and race ahead to the future, but what if you told them to cool their jets and chill a sec? Today, you get to put your mental chatter on pause, to take a breath and simply wait and see how things play out before you let your mind run a marathon of imagined scenarios. And you'll see that waiting and seeing was a lot more productive than wondering and worrying. Insert audible sigh of for right, pile 3. Well, this is what I'm seeing. If this reading resonated, I would love to know about how it did or why in the comment section down below. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope I'll get the chance to do another video for you again. Hello, pile 4. So today we are doing a reading on, and the oracle cards that you picked are going to represent. Cards are going to represent how they are feeling about the separation, and then these cards here are going to in terms of how they terms of how they are feeling her. So your person is remembering themselves or seeing themselves as somebody who was a very good provider, or um but anyway, the beaver is a very practical animal, is dependable and loyal, and is willing to put in work for their family, to protect their family. And I think that they're seeing themselves as somebody who is able to be loyal, or was. And with the gambler here, I'm sensing that they really put a lot of trust in you, or placed a lot of trust in you. They and they might be viewing it now as something in which they kind of took, but that won't resonate for all of you. But I do see that they're viewing themselves trusted you and was loyal. And then in terms of how they are feeling about connection being in separation, we have dream travel and world of. I think it's fascinating that two cards. And the first thing, obviously, that dream travel is that, in all honesty, they don't feel separation. Perhaps other people would in this instance, because I think that they are connecting in your dreams. So if you are having dream person in them, I would just probably experience. And with World of Dreams here, another thing that they are feeling in terms of this separation is the quiet night, and then suddenly for this fell for it. But anyway, I would say that they view this as an opportunity, whether or not that's an opportunity to grow, to move forward, that will be decide. However, there is energy looking forward to. Let's go ahead and dealing. How's file for Thursday to have best? The deck. What I think is really interesting, first and foremost, is that we were talking about the provider, and then we have the queen of Earth energy, and then we have, which is the card of homecoming and celebration. Um, and I would say that this desire to provide for you, or this with you, and what is something that's. I would also say with this Five of Cups, and obviously there's sadness here for. However, this person is not somebody who shies away from or from on. Person is really kind of approaching pain or this heartbreak from a willingness to. The star, and with it feels like something that they really really wanted was taken away. But with this being that, I would say, first off, these are two major. It's not the star. Two, which is indicating to me that this is profound. Two, person is whatever it is they feel the loss really is only being, and I think that's why there's this element of curiosity here with this person isn't afraid going into the shadows of human emotion, not sitting with it. There's this powerful energy here of it, and I don't mean acceptance in terms, oh yeah, whatever, it happened, I'm over it. Not like that. That's more like denial, or like it's not what I mean. Like, I'm going to accept that this is where this connection is at. I'm going to accept. And then we have the Queen of Wands. Say that this person feels empowered as well for having met you. There's this, I don't know if they're viewing you as this Queen of Wands. There's an, I don't know, I'm just picking up on an empowerment when they think of you or how they feel about you. They feel as you're very impressed and you deserve. And I think too with justice here, they genuinely want things to come into balance for the both of you, whether that's together or there's genuine love here that doesn't have it. Just genuinely wish. And with the Two of Pentacles here, this is more, I don't know, this person seems very yeah, very, just very evolved. Let's go ahead and look at if they, so Throne is and the Maid. So this is further, the Crone is like the master. The Crone has seen it all. The Crone has seen birth, pain, heart. They've come out all the way. I sense with disruption here, all they really hope is, regardless of what union or you guys live your separate lives, they want connection to have in which they can always be, like they want to alchemize the chaos that separation between two lovers. They want to alchemize it into messages, things to be different. My life is as it seems. Some advice card. The benefit of the doubt. I believe in the basic goodness of other people and I give them the chance. They prove me wrong, that's on them. At least I can go to sleep knowing other than fear and doubt. And later on, if I need to, I can always change my mind and retroactively judge. If it resonated, I would love to know about how it did in the comments. To like and subscribe to my channel and hopefully for you in another video. You're doing your reading are going to situation and then the card of past life. Say that there's also like an I don't even necessarily feel a and then in terms of action to you or the biggest thing that I'm getting like history and if that doesn't resonate, I true too. But for a lot of you, are viewing this trying to be optimal, rotting fruit. So there's a level of to mine. I mean, what I'm seeing, an emotional fresh start with, with the and the Knight of Swords is a very be a little bit chaotic to of Wands an element. Feel like being tired of this cycle never coming to a close, but like also them not really knowing how to do their part. And with the Pentacles here and the Five of Cups is giving you the same energy, which they're recognizing all that this connection needs from their pentacles, I think, is like how they would like to show up for you as well. They want to show up for you in a way that is trustworthy and loyal, providing of sorts here though. I do feel like there is intimidation here, or a little bit of fear of you, and not in the sense of like you're an ob you may maybe you want to be really mean to I'm sensing more of it how harsh your words. I feel like they I feel like for a lot of you guys you were the one, like an element of boldness to feel they don't feel your want, but they would like to know honest with the warrior here. I feel like they want purposeful, intentional interactions and conversation rather than perhaps conversations or interactions that randomly escalate or escalate without purpose. I feel like this person wants to and is hoping that this frustration, separation is going to lead to the realization on both of your might be best to try to work. They don't want to give up. The warrior is not the warrior is a person who this I would say this person letting this go. Child fives turn attracted to finally pile five, let's get you spin-heartedness. I know that life and the people living it can be an absolute bummer sometimes, but I promise not to let unhappy chapters make. If I let negative experiences turn me sour, then the jerks win. So I'll move on with an open and hopeful heart, if only because I pile five. Well, this is where I am going to leave you for today. If this resonated, I would love to hear about how it did in the comments section down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so already, and hopefully I will see you in another